The Growth Strategy podcast is all about business and growth strategy and, sharing people's own journey. So Maf, if you're happy, I wanted to ask you about when, as you went through your career, extremely successful, did a lot of really cool stuff. At what point did you almost get the itch to start your own business?
It was fairly recent. I mean, I was at RenewableUK, and as everyone does in jobs, trying to work out what I do next. My sort of ended up here sort of by accident, and sometimes, accidents sometimes work out really well. Sometimes they're terrible things, of course. But the plan, what had been, my wife is doing a PhD alongside also working and helping me and her bringing up our two young children. She was due to go to Canada for her research, so we said, well, let's go for a year and let's enjoy that. You get to do your research properly, and I'll look after the kids, and I'll bring in a bit of work in to help keep money coming in. And we were going to do that, and so I left my work, and COVID happened, and so all of a sudden we couldn't go to Canada because no one was allowed to travel anywhere, and if we'd gone to Canada, we'd have probably been sent home anyway.
Mm-hmm.
So the business vehicle that we created as a sort of a something that to help us over the next year or so suddenly became very important. So the priorities changed and the shifts changed. You have to think afresh about it. So it's something I sort of came upon, if you like, and it's been great. I'm enjoying it. It's not easy running your own business. You've got to do everything. When I've worked in small organizations. I've worked as the only member of staff for an organization, so I know a bit about it. But you've got to do your own accounts. You've got to sort out all your own admin. No one else will answer the phone, etc. And you've got to do all the big thinking stuff, and you've got to deliver work for clients. So there's lots and lots of juggling. But you get to work with really interesting people and a much wider range of projects than I would work on if I was working in a single organization. So I mean, that's great. And the other, we've talked about how working together is good. The other thing I enjoy about working together is, for me, relatively new at this, you get to share experiences and failures and just watch what other people do and adopt it and not have to do everything yourself, but to share information, share resources, share templates. There's lots of ways that we're all helping each other to sort of be successful and make it a bit easier.
Because one of the things which I think is important, which you did and I hopefully did as well, is that you get a lot of people that want to set up and do something. They want to set up on their own, but you've really got to find something which is a niche that you have. So for you, it's your knowledge network connections that not everyone else has. So therefore you've actually, people hire you for a reason because of everything that we've kind of talked about. And that makes you special and therefore, brings you value. And it's what parts of actually setting up have you found the most difficult?
I think it is around that, figuring out where your role is. And a friend of mine gave me a lot of advice in setting up about what to do and how, and he was all about that, about know what your value is, and unless something's really unlimited, can't turn down, stick to within what you think is the thing you can really offer service value, because you won't get found out and you won't have people contacting you and then be disappointed. So there's some very good, lots of very good people in offshore wind and more technical consultancies. I could never hope to do any of those things. And just because that's not my aptitude, but equally because it's only me and it needs big teams working on projects. But there are things I can do that very few people can't do. And part of the reason is because I'm small, that I can do them. So I can give advice, I can help provide support, I can speak to senior people, I can help people engage in the industry and find out who's who. And I understand how that funny world between where government stops and industry starts, how that works, because that's really hard to navigate. It's not public affairs, but it's just about how policy leads to business decisions that work. But it is hard to define, and then, if you like, defend back to yourself why you're doing this and not something else.
Because I
and keep
think,
your nerve, if you like, well, as the work and get enough work in to justify that.
because I was going to say, but I think that's almost one of the things which a lot of people struggle with, but rightly so they should, where, you know, well, I guess it was only January that you were still Deputy Chief Exec of Renewable UK. And I was shocked that was still this year, because in my mind, you'd been set up. Obviously, we've been speaking for a while, but you've been set up for a lot longer. But there's always the element of you can set up your own business, develop a product, service, and try and sell it. And it takes a long time to get started. And there's the risk, the valley of death that you mentioned before you actually get profitable, etc. And it's always that versus a paid salary where you know you're going to get paid every month. And there is also that pull. And what's the famous quote? It's to do with a salary is the price you pay to give up your dreams. And it's just, I find this really funny that almost because working for yourself is difficult and you have to keep working and finding innovative ways to promote yourself and talk about your projects and stuff, that nobody else is going to help you. You have to do it yourself. But also that for me is almost, it's the fulfillment in the process, and the learning is actually what I enjoy the most.
Yeah.
Cool.
Yeah, I think that's true. And you can get a lot of satisfaction out of it. And you know, it's hard in terms of, you know, you work your regular hours, but equally I'm more able now because, well, you know, a lot more of it's like anyway because of COVID, but you know, but more so because I'm running my own business. You know, I've got some, provided I plan ahead, I've got flexibility of my time to spend time with my kids, and you know, I'm not on a train commute where I'm off early and back late. I'm not traveling the length and breadth of the country or even going abroad, which I had been expected to do as part of my business. So, you know, the benefits of setting up a business in COVID is hard, but the benefits of you make it successful have been, and you get to spend more time than you thought, and you get to control your time. I've enjoyed that bit. And so I don't mind putting time at night onto, say, the website or marketing or, you know, the side tasks which you need to keep on top of, and it can be really enjoyable. So you can then use the daytime, if you like, to do the client work and the projects and the deadlines.
My big thing was that one day I will happily give this up if I've tried my best and I fail, but it's if I stop trying and I don't do what I think is the best I can do. That's the thing for me. So I have no problem if I do my very best and it just doesn't work out, fine. But it's that kind of, I didn't want to live with the regret, because I'm only 37, so I've still got a while left before I retire, that I just wanted to give it a crack.